Record this. Okay. Well, everybody, I don't know how I did it, but I'm Doc G and Doc G Presents, and I've got the extraordinary comedy legend of drama, animation, voiceover work, movies,
Yeah, all of it,
TV, everything. The
all of it.
wonderful, incomparable John Byner.
And
Welcome.
and to add to that, Broadway.
And Broadway. Okay. John, what?
Yes, I've touched them all. I've touched them all.
John, first of all, thank you for this. This is such a pleasure on my
Thank you.
part because
My pleasure. My
I've loved
pleasure
you for
talking to you.
years. I still love you.
Thank you.
But take me through, how it all started for you. What was that big thing that you said, I'm going to be in TV, I'm going to do this, and that's what I want to do, or I'm going to do voiceover. What was that big thing that said, I want to be in the limelight?
Well, I just like making people laugh. And I used when I was like in my teens, early teens, 13, 14, I'd go to little talent shows around the area where I lived on Long Island. Different little towns I could bus to or walk to or take a bike to. And I'd I'd always backstage when they were getting ready to vote and who won with the audience out there, be the church people or
Right.
the all kinds of people out there. But everybody backstage would say, "Oh man, you're gonna win," because I'd make people laugh, and they'd hear the laugh backstage, and they say, "Oh, you gotta win, you gotta win." And it was always the banker's daughter with the patent leather shoes that won. And I think, oh my God, it's political. Why should I even try?
Right.
And so that's the way it was. I just did it. I did it. And then suddenly one day, one of the fellas in the little club I was working on Long Island said, "Hey, there's a JFK contest," and because I was doing JFK in my act, and they said there's one media had done the First Family thing, and it was a big hit, and everybody was doing the president. Of course, it's everybody's president.
Right.
President, right. So I get in there and I win the contest, which was $10 paid for car fare, and I met my manager, Harry Columbia, manager of 22 years.
Okay.
And he had access to different clubs because he managed just by handshake. He was an English teacher out in Plainview, Long Island, and he managed Thelonious Monk and Mose Allison. And
wow.
because of those great people, he was able to get me into the places in Greenwich Village and the Vanguard, where I scored heavily. And one night, Jack Babb from the show, the Ed Sullivan Show came in. It was his talent coordinator, and he said to me, "Hey, if the old man likes you," referring to Ed Sullivan, "the old man likes you, he'll give you maybe a little something up the road of another date up the way." So I said, "Okay, fine." So I went in for the dress rehearsal, expecting to hear, "Okay, maybe a lead like here," but I get a knock on the door saying, "Hey, you go on tonight," and that's how it started.
Wow.
That's how it really started. However, I jumped ahead a little bit. When I was very young, I did a little thing. Merv Griffin had a little thing called the Talent Scout Show.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, which I went on, and Jack O'Reilly, I think his name was Jack O'Reilly from the newspaper, gave me a great review. And it started out with finally talent with the stars, talent scouts with the scouts. Finally talent with the scouts, and that's the way the headline was. And he talked about me throughout it, Jack O'Brien, and so that was like. Then I went back to the real life, building swimming pools and this, that, and the other little jobs I did, gas station, whatever it was. And then the Sullivan thing happened, and then after that, I got a card, and I was a card carrying comedian.
What was it like? Yeah, what was it like to be on the Carol Burnett show? That was an iconic show.
Carol Burnett was like walking into a room full of friends. You went and rehearsal, big rehearsal hall there at CVS, and I'd go in there, and Harvey Korman and whoever guest it would be, otherwise, and we'd just be like family. It was just a terrific environment, and nobody was mad about anything. They'd leave all that stuff at home, and we'd go and we'd have a great time at rehearsal. We had a great time at dress rehearsal and throughout, and it was a wonderful experience. Absolutely.
I think
Carol is a unique person in the business to me, because she was Carol Burnett, whether she was at lunch or whether, on stage or at rehearsal. She was Carol Burnett.
She was the real deal. Yeah, I was going to say, I think that skit was, and it quote me if I'm wrong or tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it was something about like the Nelson family. It was like a parody to that. because I remember you being in that one part, and I don't know what part that was. Do you
Oh,
remember?
I don't either.
Say okay.
I used to do that. I used to make fun of the Nelson family in my act, and so it all started. And we
Okay.
and
Okay.
we went to the show I did at CBS for 6 months or 6 shows, the summer replacement for Glenn Campbell, and it was called The Bland Family, and that's how that all started. Everything was solved by cookies and all that stuff at the end of the show. So that's how that all began.
And of course, we're gonna talk about all the different ins and outs that you remember about Hollywood and where you were, but some of the big ones that I remember, of course, and going back to the animation a little bit, would be the Anthony Aardvark.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
can you do some of them voices for me?
Well, that's sure enough. I just like to say that how it all happened.
Please, please.
I had done several impersonations on the Ed Sullivan Show, and that attracted Patty Freeling, who had the cartoon company. And Fritz Freeling called me into his office, and he had a painting, a sketch of the aardvark, and he said, I'd like you to think about a voice for this character. He's very nervous and hey. So I thought of Jackie Mason, because Jackie Mason, you know what I'm talking about, Mr. And and then he said he held up the other one, the ant, and he's laid like a daisical kind of laid around. He could care less about anything. And I said, that sounds like Dean Martin. That sounds like Dean Martin. He said, that's it, perfect. And that was it. That's how it started.
That's so cool. So you were able to bring them to the characters that the characters were.
Yeah.
It was funny. I always
Yeah.
knew that would sound like Jackie Mason. I just
That's amazing, a wonderful thing, And people always sometimes they say it was like somebody else that was. All right, anyway, I'll get off the subject. Okay.
Oh no, that's okay. Please, you can
Okay.
that away. That's fine. I was going to ask you, of course, one of my favorite shows was The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
And what was it like to? I mean, I know how Jack Klugman was. I know how Tony Randall was, but to be in their presence of just greatness in that show.
They were so professional, and in the middle of that thing I did two of them. One is the extra large farm, let's put it that way, and the other one was the garage attendant.
I love that one.
Yeah. And halfway through it, Klugman couldn't stop laughing, and Tony had to chastise him and say, "You're a bad man. You're a bad." So we did a couple of takes because Jack couldn't stop laughing.
And I got to give you credit too, John. Not only that, but I've told many people, I think you're like the Benny Hill of America, as Benny Hill was in the UK.
Chasing girls around.
Well, it
that
is
was
what it is, but it was funny.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny, but some people refer to me as, "Oh, that pervert."
No, nothing like that.
I had nothing to do with it. I didn't write a thing. I had done some writing on it, but it generally revolved around like a Joe Cocker where I had to sing, or a Dean Martin where I had to jump on the piano and sing. And they took all that musical stuff out when they're selling it, because it would cost a lot of money.
Right.
To use the music. Yeah. Well, so anyway, that's the part I was involved in, and I'd think of better endings, but basically it was the book. I'd get 26 shows in the mail. I'd take them to the beach, and I'd scratch out things and put a few things in, and what kind of character I saw in doing this and that and the other thing. And the producer told me after the 5 or 6 years we did the show that I had done over 560 characters in that time. Different.
Wow. And that's amazing, because anybody can do anything like that.
It's actually a high school kid's dream,
It is.
To be able to do all those voices and all those things, all the old people and young people and this, that, and the other thing. And it was just a Superman, you name it. I did it. Cowboy. They used to throw me to breakaway walls and everything.
Oh, really?
It was a fun show to do. It was amazing.
And you're really not that tall, right? You're kind of like short.
5'8". How tall do you have to be that?
No, I know, but I'm just saying. Some people say, "Oh, you're not that tall." Well, I'm 6'2". That's not tall.
Yes, it is.
I'm not a leprechaun, and neither are you.
Bob Einstein was 6'4".
Yeah, 6'4". Well, you look small to him.
He used to write all those put downs to himself, which I didn't do it.
Super Dave Osborne, you're talking about.
Oh, the best. Yeah. Hey, John, you're gonna do that? No, that's the way he talked to me. You got to do that or what? Is that in tonight or what? You know.
Bizarre. That was a great show too. That,
Yes, it
that
was
lasted what
fun.
for
It
about
was a lot
6
of
years.
fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
You did a lot of now comedy shows that we're talking about the Odd Couple, but you did Get Smart. You
Yeah.
did. Can we just like go through like a couple of here and there what you did? I mean, like I said, your career is just so impressive.
Well, thank you. And it all went like the wind because I did so many different things. It all woo, time flew by.
Yeah,
At
and
any
the
rate,
thing is, do you remember them all? I
well,
remember some of
the
them.
Get Smart thing, I had to impersonate different thing. I played a gangster kind of guy, and I had to impersonate President Johnson at the time, Lyndon Baines, and I did him. And then in the same book we opened on Monday morning, that's where you find out for the first time what you're going to have to do. I had to also do an impersonation of another wonderful actor called Paul Stewart. Remember Paul
Yeah,
Stewart?
Paul. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Citizen Kane and so many other things. And anyway, I want to talk to him after the first reading. I said, excuse me, Mr. Stewart, I really haven't seen that many things that you've done that often to be able to do you. He says, have you got a tape recorder at your house? I said, yeah. He came home, knocked on my door and did the lines I was supposed to do as him in my tape recorder. And I had him the next day, and he talked like this. And there you are.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
there's one thing I wanted to ask you. Why were you never on a D. Martin roast? Were you never asked?
I was on his show. I wasn't, I didn't particularly, I wasn't in that category.
What? Funny?
No, I don't know. It's just something I wasn't involved in. I don't think Dean Martin's manager liked me very much.
Oh, well, it's a
There's just something
manager.
about him that, it's just something about me and him. I don't know what it was. You know what I mean?
I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
There's always personality conflicts.
Always something. Not on the Cabernet show, however. No.
They're really good. So yeah, so let's talk about a little bit of the stuff. So when you grew up, when you were growing up,
Yeah.
you said you grew up in New York, right?
Long Island.
Long Island.
Many towns in Long Island.
Long Island. Everybody knows you from around there and stuff. They still
Yeah.
know you there. You're still there, right?
No, I'm down south. I'm just south of St. Augustine.
Oh, so you're in
East coast of
Florida now.
Florida.
Okay.
East coast of Florida, yeah.
Yeah, how do you like Florida compared to New York?
Well, the weather. We did the winters. We did the winters in Long Island. They were brutal.
Rough, really rough.
And everything. Oh God, And in the summer, you kept turning the pillow to get a cooler spot in the summer. But we didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have heat in the house. It was just one of those things.
Oh,
At any rate, I like the weather. I've always liked the kind of tropical feel. I worked in San Diego. I lived in San Diego for a while. I was in Guam in the Navy, and
thank you for your service, by the way.
well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure again. I had a lot of laughs, met a lot of friends that are still my friends after all these years, and they're still in contact with me, and they're buying my book. They're loving it, and now I live down in the tropics again. Basically, it's a mild winter and it's a very hot summer, but we live on the East Coast, up northern section by Jacksonville, and I can still play golf in the afternoons in the summer.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. I have a lot of friends that live in Florida. So we're talking about, of course, your idea of comedy. Today's comedy compared to yesterday's comedy. Is there any difference?
It doesn't compare. It does not compare. It's always like there's got to throw a little this in and a little that in,
Yep.
and it's unnecessary.
Yes.
Unnecessary. But they do it because they think they're hip. They think they're, that this guy named Joe. I won't say his last name.
That's okay.
So you got to get on Joe's show because he does a lot of blah 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 blah. So I tuned him in one day, and it was effing this and effing that.
Oh, yeah, I can't stand that. Yeah.
I said, hey, who needs that? Who needs that? So one day I tuned in again to give him another shot at it. I thought maybe he was talking to Lenny Bruce or something from the grave. And I thought, well, I'll give him another shot. And he had a very famous actor on there, a guy who plays the Steel Man or something. I've forgotten his name.
Right.
And anyway, he was on there and he was effing back to him. And I figure, oh, okay, I guess it's like, you have to say that to be on the show. So I passed on it. I even asked him if I could be on his show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I understand that. Well, I
Yeah,
want to let you
thanks.
know that here, I respect you. I respect what you're saying. And we're actually family friendly. So we don't have all that language here. I
Yeah,
don't
well, who
really,
needs it? Who needs it?
I
I
don't,
mean, I don't need it,
I don't need it.
I
Nobody.
mean, even in the Navy, we didn't, it wasn't always that. It wasn't always that. And you'd think it would be with a whole ship full of people.
I worked in a garage with cars and and for New Jersey State Police for 25 years. And to be honest with you, everybody else in the garage cursed. I didn't. So
Yeah, you don't have to
don't need
because
to.
the other guys do.
Yeah, I know. There's no need to.
And you don't know what, you wonder why. If it keeps coming out of their mouth, my mom used to say, "Hey, do you eat with that mouth?"
You're right. It's like a filler. They're trying to find comedy through the profanity and the language,
Yeah, exactly.
but the
Yeah.
comedy's not in the language. The comedy's in what you visually
In what you
see.
have to say and how you
Right,
deliver it, the timing, and
right.
it's just that. Yeah, I think comedy is like telling people something they know inside but they don't realize. And you go, "Oh yeah, that's right, he does do that." Yeah, you know.
So, like me, John, you grew up with a lot of the great comedy teams.
Oh yeah.
Abbott and Costello, which was not that far from you,
Yeah, right.
and of course the Three Stooges, the Marx Brothers,
Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy, Martin and Lewis. I can go on and on. The Ritz Brothers. What
Yeah.
were your favorite comedy teams back then that you used to like to watch? Probably all of them, but I don't know.
Well, Jerry Lewis is what got me into the business. I mean, Jerry Lewis, my father passed away. Now, this is a really, I don't talk about my father like that to make fun or anything. It's just,
No, no, sure.
he passed away and I was about 11, 12. I've forgotten how old really. And he just about that, 11, 12. And I felt heavy in my heart for the longest time. We didn't have television where I was at the time, and my mother had just moved into Queens, and we didn't have TV. So one of my friends on the little, we had a little ball team, police athletic league, and he said, "Come on over to the house on Sunday. It's a Colgate Comedy Hour, and it's Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis." And I said, "Well, yeah, well, okay." And Jerry Lewis came, and I forgot all about everything, and they sat there and laughed at him. And I thought, God, if he can do that to me, how great is that to be in your life? Someone who can make people laugh and forget their troubles. And that's how it started.
Yeah, iconic comedy legend.
Yeah,
and
Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin.
all his movies and
I didn't like the way Lou Costello got slapped and stuff like that. That turned me off.
oh, okay. So
Hey,
you
come on, Lou. Come on. And that I didn't like that stuff. It just for a kid, you don't like to see it.
oh yeah, the violent part. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get that. Yeah.
yeah.
But in some respects it was funny. I get some people understand that, some people don't.
The Three Stooges, they're always hitting each other. I had two brothers, and it was like that at home.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't want to laugh at it.
Well, we're friends with Danny. I think his name's Danny Server, but he's Curly's grandson. And he still does that slapstick. He does all that, pie in the face and
Yeah, that's where I guess then the word came from. Slap, slap, slap.
yeah, it's comedy and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all your stuff that you've done, is there anything that really sticks out of your mind that you wish you hadn't done?
Yes. Yes, it was a little. My wife is in a thing called the Share organization out in Los Angeles. You may have heard about it. The women, Dean Martin's wife started it. Jeannie
Right,
Martin
right.
started it. You have it, and each year, well, now because of the COVID, we didn't go out there. But each year they have rehearsals for 6 weeks, dancing. All the women that are interested in it.
Right.
And then they have one show and they raise like $1.5 million for needy kids. Okay.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So while out there, my agent, I have an agent on the West Coast, an agent here in Orlando, and while I was out there, she'd get me a little gigs, it'd help pay for the trip out and back because she can't write off share. She can't say it cost me $10,000 to come out
Sure, sure.
and find an apartment and all that kind. But you can't write it off. So I'd go and I'd get a gig and it'd help with all that. And this one gig was, oh God, it's called The First Family, right? It's about the first family in the White House.
Right.
And I went to audition, and they're looking for somebody who could do the little Irish dance, that with the hands on the side. And I could do it. I could do it to an extent, enough to get the joke.
Right, right, right.
Well, I wasn't treated well there, and and I was just so insulted just being on the set that I just swore to God I'd never do, and I don't do that often. I just talked to him, but but I said I'd never do that show again, regardless of what they wanted me for.
Okay.
It was just so demeaning. It was.
I understand.
That's all I can tell you.
I understand.
You asked and I told you.
No, I appreciate that. No, that's great. That's wonderful. Yeah, I don't understand a lot of times when people go to audition certain things, they have to have the premise of where they're going to audition for. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not what you think it should be.
No, it doesn't turn out to be what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
But that's rare. And this was a rare thing. But I felt it, and that's the reason I knew it was rare, because I've never felt that before.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it says you were in Stroke or Ace.
Yeah.
What part of the movie?
I play his young pal from yesteryear who grows up. He hasn't seen him in a while. And then I save his butt by going in and pretending I'm somebody else to convince Ned Beatty of not firing him, of keeping him on, and all that kind of stuff. And I was in quite a bit of the scenes, but it's not written anywhere. And I'm not on the trailer at all.
Why wouldn't? Wait a minute. Wait.
No, but Bert apologized when I showed up, and I had seen and worked with him before and done like the Dinah Shore shows with him and went to his birthday party at Dinah's house. I knew him very well. And he apologized because it was a last minute choice of who he wanted to play himself as a kid and then to grow up later and deal in this thing. And he chose me. And because of that, I wasn't on any of the flyers or any of the trailers.
Oh, that's sad. Like that. That's so sad.
But I do get residuals. So it's, and I loved working with him. He was a great guy. I miss him. And writing a book and having them in the book and all that, and they start to die before you finish the book and say, we'll see that,
Yeah, I know. Well, what? I want you to promote your book too. Where can people
No, I just keep mentioning that. I don't need to say that because, you're here because of the book.
No, I just want to know.
Oh, what about it?
Yeah. What's the name of your book? Where can
it's called, for my career, especially backstage and dressing rooms, they'd say 5 minutes, Mr. Byner. And that meant that I had to have 5 minutes before I walked up and stood by the curtain so that they could open it up after they announced me. So I named it 5 minutes, Mr. Byner. That's the name of it. A Lifetime of Laughter is what the publisher added because it sounded nice. And I appreciate it.
Oh, that's beautiful. And people get it on Amazon?
Amazon, yeah. You can get the audio, which I did, and the Kindle and the book.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're coming up to Halloween now. You're in a great movie. I remember you in this movie. It was really good. Transylvania 6-5000.
Yeah. We
did that.
About
your part?
Pardon me?
Can you tell me about your part, Radu?
Radu? Yeah. Radu is the guy with a big heart, but he's got the bent over and everything is yes master and no master and that kind of a thing. And the cast was wonderful. I had a great time, and I knew the director and writer Rudy DeLuca from my first show on television, the John Byner Comedy Hour. He was a writer there, and we remained friends all these years.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And Joe Bologna and
what a cast!
All kinds of great people on it. And Carol Kane played my wife, and it was just a wonderful experience. A cold in the castle. Let me tell you, castles were never warm. I don't care how big the fireplace was. It was damp and cold, but hey, I'm not complaining. We all had a good time.
Where was that shot at? Was that shot at another country?
Zagreb, Yugoslavia.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So cold out there.
Yeah, in the winter.
If you're used to Florida.
Yes, indeed.
So let's talk about, let's see, you're on a lot of different shows. We're talking about like Steve Allen comedy.
Yeah.
You said Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin, maybe some of them.
Yeah, I met Steve Allen. I was working, I've been doing the Gary Moore show,
Mhm.
And I was invited to work with Mel Torme and the Woody Herman Orchestra at Basin Street East in Manhattan. And one night I'm getting up there before Mel came out. I was doing my thing and I heard this cackle in the back of the room, and it was no question about it. That was Steve Allen. Laugh. And I said, wow, Steve Allen's out there, boy. And I went back to my dressing room. And next thing I know, Mel is finished and the band stops playing and the crowd is leaving, I'm guessing. And the phone rings in the dressing room and it's Mel. And he says, hey, Johnny, come on up. Somebody wants to meet you. He called me Tiger. Hey, Tiger, come on up. Somebody wants to meet you. And it was Steve Allen. And he's got the little notepad at the time. He graduated to something he could talk into later, but he had the little notebook and he said, John, he said, when I get another show, you're on it. And true to his word, I was.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I loved the guy. I loved him when I was a kid. I loved him when I met him. I loved working with him. And I loved being at his home. He invited us over, Annie and I, when we watched the Cher thing. Come on, oh, stay with us. And I'd stay with himself and his lovely wife, Janie Bird. And we had a great time. Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were on a lot of them different talk shows.
Yes.
Including Johnny Carson. What was it like on Johnny
yeah.
Carson? That had to be amazing on Johnny Carson.
37 Carson shows. Yeah, it was. I had a great time. I had a great time on his show because he laughed at me. I knew what made him laugh. So I'd made sure I sneak it in every time I go on the show. It's one way or another. Yeah.
That's funny. And I also said that you were going to be on the Happy Days, but you declined the role. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened?
Oh, I didn't. I only did. Here's the story, the real story. If I had money to buy a lawyer or hire a lawyer, I would have sued them for whatever it was.
So it wasn't no Happy Days for you.
No, here's the deal. I was dating a lady, and she had been on Happy Days a few times, and she had a dinner party, and Ron Howard and his wife were invited.
Mm-hmm.
Just the four of us there. And his after dinner, after sitting around talking nice and having fun talking and all that, we got into the living room, and Ron said to me, John, they're looking for a guy to play Mork, and he's this, that, and the other thing, and they'd like you to come over and audition for it. I said to him, and he'll swear to this, I'm sure. I said to him, what does Mork do? Does he make noises and sounds and things like that? And he said, yeah. And I thought, I do enough of that in the cartoons. I don't think I'd like to do that. No, thanks. And that's as far as it went. I didn't audition. I didn't turn anybody down. I just told him, no, thanks. And then I see this movie, The Making of Mork or something like that, a documentary sort of thing. And they have me, the character as myself, auditioning in a studio with cameramen and all these kind of people on it. And I'm looking at the script and I throw it down on the ground and say, this is crap, and marching off the set.
Yeah.
Who's gonna hire a guy that does that?
No, you're right. Who does? Who will?
Yeah. So there's defamation of character as far as I was concerned.
Oh, that's a shame though. That went like that,
Yeah, and then the rumor comes out that I turned it down, and oh boy, weren't you sorry you turned it down? I said, no, Robin did a great job. Everybody had a good time. He looked good in that suit. I wouldn't have looked that good. I got skinny legs. I did a character like that prior in Mork and Mindy. I mean, Mork and Mindy. No, in Maude. Maude, I did a character called Captain Hero, is what they wanted, and I turned from her little shy nephew to Captain Hero, and with the cape and the whole thing, and that's as far as I got.
You did soap too. You did soap too.
Yeah, I was Detective Donahue on soap, and Catherine Hellman, bless her heart.
Oh, she was a sweetheart.
Fell in love with me. The character falls in love with me, and I think she fell in love with me too. We used to go to lunch together every day. We had a great time, she and I. And it was a terrific cast, as you know, and that was a great experience too.
How did David Letterman treat you when you were on his show? Same way at Carson?
David's a little different than Carson. On Carson, for example, on Carson, if first of all, I don't know, maybe he's 6'4" or something, but they put pillows over, so everybody has to look up at his chin when they're on from the couch, you know? And anyway, that's one thing. But the other thing is that in the Carson show, you felt the family comfortable, and the commercial, we'll be right back. And then he turned to me and he talked to me, and we talked, knocking, ding, ding, ding. And sometimes he'd throw the thing, the lineup down, what he had to say, and ask me, and we'd start talking about what we talked about at the the interruption, the commercial.
Right.
Now the Letterman, however, show. Okay, I'm on there, and we do the first segment. He said, "We'll be right back, going to commercial," and the band plays so loud you can't hear yourself. Paul is going, and I leaned over to Letterman and I said, "Is this in lieu of conversation?" They're laughing, and he said, "Yes."
So don't they lower it when you say anything?
No, it's the commercial break.
And they're so close to you, right? They're so close to you. That's the problem.
The band was playing so loud. I mean, the Doc Severinsen had an orchestra. Paul has a band.
I know.
The band is playing so loud you can hardly hear yourself think. And I said to
Oh my God,
David, "Is this in lieu of conversation during the commercial break?"
Yeah.
And he leaned over. He said, "Yes."
Sorry you had to go through that, John. Is there
And
anything?
then he had the commercial, the thing, they had the talent contest thing, the impersonation thing, the impersonator of the week and all that kind of stuff. So I went on there, and he never came down to the dressing room. He never came down to the green room to say hello. And after I did my spot, he came over and, "Hey, good job." Okay,
Oh God.
that's the way it goes.
You did a thing on Love American Style.
Yeah.
What?
Now that I can't remember too well.
Okay, I don't remember it either too well.
No, I don't. I remember what I said, what I did, who I was.
You must have been blacked out that day. Hawaii 5-0, you did something too.
And all this time, I'm going out doing nightclubs in between.
Oh, how do you juggle that career? You're you're doing this and you're doing that. How do you do?
Well, I was raising my kids too. I was raising 4 kids by myself, and out there in Malibu, which wasn't bad at all. We had horses, chickens, dogs,
Oh,
goats. Every time I'd get to be ready to go on stage, I'd hear somebody, "Dad, they're gonna kill the goat if we don't take the goat." So we had all these things, and it was kids growing up. They loved that, the horses and the thing. We lived right close to the beach. You walk down to the beach and all. But I had to do that. I had nightclubs. I had this, I had that, and thank God, like the Carabinet show. I mean, I have to tell you, they had cue cards. Okay, so you had to like study your script, or you could glance up at the cue cards. Well,
Right.
I looked at the cue cards a lot.
Hey, you have to do what you have to do.
I didn't have time. I had to go home and cook for the kids, and then
Right.
it's just a funny thing. You talk about how things work in the business, or outside of the business, however you want to put this. But I'm cooking for the kids one night out there in Malibu. We had a little cabin and beautiful couple acres and all that. And the phone rings, and it's a guy. He's from People's Choice Awards. People's Choice Awards, and you've won the Comedian of the Year Choice Award. I said, "Hey, that's great. I'm cooking." I said, "That's great." And there's a big thing. And this is a Thursday. He calls me to tell me that the next day I've got to fly to Vegas, and the big show, the People's Choice show, the People's Choice. Think about that. The people who thought it was the people who thought you were great. I said, "That's nothing like that. There's nothing like that."
Right.
So I said, "Look, I'm on the soap show. I'm doing the soap show. We shoot on Friday. We do rehearsals in the afternoon, and then the show. I can't. Okay." I said, "Will you send me something? A tablet? No, you have to be there to get it." So I said, "Thanks a lot." Next day, I show up at the studio.
Oh, that's sad.
And there's a big crowd around Billy Crystal. And I say to Jimmy Bayo, who played the son, the couple,
Right.
Catherine Hellman and her husband. I said, "What's going on over there?" He said, "Oh, Billy Crystal won the People's Choice Award." And I said, "Oh, then he's going to Vegas." "How did you know?" He said. So that's how it goes. You know what I mean? You got to be there to get it.
You got to be there to get it. Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're John Wayne or one of those big time people or whoever, Barbara Streisand, who's no longer, whatever. They'll send up somebody to represent you. Here to, or I'm accepting it for John. But because it's the people's choice, they have to be there.
That's kind of crazy.
So I figured they went from the B's, the Byners, to the C's, the Crystals. And who knows what they got, the Andersons, the Andersons. They're out too.
Well, you're on another one of my favorite shows, Married with Children.
Oh, yeah. Married with Children. Yeah. I played
Ed and Peg Bundy.
The old codger, yeah.
Anyway, that was a good show. Can you tell me a little bit about the episode you were in?
Well, they hear on television that there's gold someplace, and they want to go prospecting. So they go, and I see that this is I'm an old timer, talking to some old timers on the porch. "Hey, I got the red mustache, and hey, and they're out there in the front, and they're talking about gold, and if they think, and I take this, they have this. Which I looked for some of these with Henry Fonda. That's another story. Fool's gold. It looks like gold. It feels like gold, but don't try to penetrate it. It's like iron.
Right.
And so I throw this little nugget out. It's a fool's gold nugget, unbeknownst to them. And that's how it all starts. They want to buy my where I found the gold, and it goes on like that.
Well, that reminds me of the Brady Bunch episode with the guy from I can't think of his name, but he was Mr. Hal. See, I tell you, my thing gets messed up, my brain. I had a mini stroke a couple of years ago, John. So please.
Well, hey, you remembered me, so it can't be that many.
Well, it was mini. It was
okay.
mini. I lost a lot of short-term memory loss, but a lot of memory loss went with that as well.
That's okay.
As I try to reflect, I'm only 59. I don't know how old you are, but you look great for your age.
Well, I'm older than you think.
You can keep it between us.
I'm 83.
You still look great.
I feel like I'm 39 years old, but the trouble is, I'm out there on the golf course, and all the guys talk about is their pains and who's dying and who's dead. I say, what the hell am I doing here? You get that in your head. The brain, has a way of working on you.
So what do you do to take care of yourself?
Well, I have a wife who always wants. She got the vitamin pills out, and
that's a girl.
And, did you lift your weights today? And she keeps after me. And I've got a stationary bike because of the COVID. I'm just staying home and doing the bike and playing golf with the guys. And you ride along in your own cart now, and you can't get close and all that.
So were you doing comedy all the way up to COVID? Like
Pardon
going
me?
out and doing comedy every now and then, or no?
No, I'm not doing comedy, just the interviews.
Oh, really? You're not? Nobody's asking you to go any places?
No, who's going to go and see you? I'm not even getting out to sign my book to people that wait in line and all that. Who you?
No, I said before COVID.
Oh yeah, I've done some things. I just did a picture before the COVID. It's coming out next year. It's a remake of Dead on Arrival. It's not comedy. I play Majak, the guy who sells poison to people. And that's coming out next year. And
that's good.
But as far as nightclubs and things like that, no, I haven't done those in a long time.
I know, and I feel really bad for you guys too, because I know that a lot of that is who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And you try to get that,
And before that, I was hired to do to play an Irish father in a noir thing for what's it called? Netflix. And I'm on that, and it's called Lore. The series is called Lore, and the segment I'm in, which was an hour segment, is called Black Stockings.
Okay.
In case you want to check in on that. But once again, it's not a comedy. But I did have to talk like an Irishman. Because then one side of my family is Irish and the other is German. Figure that out.
John, you still got it, man. You're so funny. I
Thanks.
mean, you could say, open up the refrigerator and it could be funny because
Yes, I do that sometimes. So you get into these things and you can't get out of them sometimes.
I know.
You know, like sometimes I'll be talking like Dean Martin. I'll do that all day. I don't know, honey. You take your bike, I'll take mine. We'll see what happens.
I would love to get you voiceover work if you're still interested in it, because I got a lot of friends in the radio industry that always ask me, do you know anybody that does this? Do you know anybody that does that now?
Well, yeah, I do. I was called upon to do different things. I did a Clark Gable for a Mercedes-Benz commercial.
Okay.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Yeah, and that was good. And commercials, I've done a few. But yeah, I like doing voices, and I can do announcers.
Well, that's good. And you do John Wayne too, right? You do a good
Oh,
job.
just a minute, mister. Yeah, yeah. The Duke. I did a thing you may have seen on YouTube with Lee Marvin. Check it out. John Byner and Lee Marvin. It's pretty funny. It was a tribute to John Wayne. A lot of stars were in the audience, and it was fun. It was a tribute dinner. Yeah. Frank Sinatra opened, and Glenn Campbell was on it, and other people. But Lee and I did this sketch where we're around the fireplace or campsite.
Oh, I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, you said?
Yeah, yeah. Just put in my name and Lee Marvin.
Well, I was going to ask you if you met Frank Sinatra, but obviously you just said you did.
Oh yeah, Frank. Yeah. Yeah, Frank is he was a nice guy. All the big ones are nice guys, you know? And sometimes you hear rumors about people and it's not true.
I know.
It just so happens, you know, I was asked to do a Jack Lord thing, the Hawaii 5-0. And I'd be doing a show in LA or something, and people say, "What's up for you, Ned? What's next for you?" I said, "Oh, I'm going out to Hawaii to do Jack Lord." Jack Lord, oh, you don't want to work. Jack Lord, Jack Lord. and so I get out to Hawaii, and the idea was that, the truth is that every year, every 2 years, they would send their equipment back to LA to be worked on, overhauled, and because there's no place in Hawaii to do it, it wasn't then. And anyway, I get on the ship. I'm taken to the ship from my hotel room and to start out the next day on board and all that. And it's a crowded elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear from the back, "Hey, John," and it's Jack Lord. And I say, "Yeah, hey, how you doing?" He says, "Yeah, you do a lot of work in Greenwich Village." I say, "My brother lives in Greenwich Village." And then we had a terrific experience together. I mean, you know, we walk around the ship together and talk and have lunch. But I'm thinking every time I'd hear all these things from, you know, I kept hearing these things in my voice, and I'm saying, "You people must have stepped on his toes somehow," you know, for him to be somebody you'd give back, you know, you'd downplay or whatever you put down, you know. So he was a good guy, and I heard that throughout my career about you don't want, and I'd say, well, I'll give it a shot, you know. After
they might have liked you compared to other people because you're not pushy and you're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't come across like that.
No, why be pushy? And people always say, "Hey, you worked with him. How come you didn't take a picture with him?" I don't look at the guy and say, "Hey, you mind taking a picture?" What is that? You know, we're people, we're humans. You know,
a good friend of mine, Michael Stern, who's been with Lucille Ball, knows all the family, and then Carol Burnett and everybody.
Yeah,
has always walked up to people and just approached them and said, "You know, you mind if we take a picture together?" He didn't harass them. And all their comments was, "Sure, let's do it." And he became friends with them over 40, 50 years because of that. Yeah. So what I'm saying to you, John, is you're probably correct. It's the way you approach a person, the way they see you. "Oh my God, you know, please, please, please." No.
Yeah.
It's people.
Yeah.
But we love you. We respect you. Respect your privacy. I met who did I meet out in California one time? I met Roseanne Arnold's husband. Everybody said, "Don't go up to Tom Arnold. He's eating. Don't go up to Tom Arnold. He's eating." And I said to my daughter, I said, "Listen, we're never ever here in California. We're here for a special thing for her." And I said, "Let's go over to him. Just ask him. Say, 'Hey, Tom, how you doing? We know who you are. Thank you for what you do. Would you mind signing autograph forms?" No problem. So what is the big deal? Why do people feel that, you know, there's like 1,000 people that are afraid of these people?
I would say the only thing I could say to kind of guide people if they're in a restaurant like that and they see somebody across the way,
Let me.
wait for them to swallow at least, you know, because they'd always come over and say, "Oh, I hate to," but wait for them to swallow.
No,
That's
you're
all.
right.
But
And
you know,
nobody
I've
wants to
had
ask.
on the other hand, I've had people that would say, "Hey, come in, let's take a picture together." Burt Reynolds and people like that. Come
Right.
on, John, let's take a picture. I want to take a picture with you, and that's nice, you know.
Did you ever meet Elvis?
I hung out with Elvis. What
Oh,
I did?
did you? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's in the book.
But I know, I know. Well, tell us a little bit about that. Give us a
Well,
little bit.
I
You know
I
that.
met him. There were a couple of meetings before I really met him. You know, like I was working at the Frontier Hotel with Diana Ross, and and uh, and I'm doing my Elvis Presley thing, and I used to say, you know, he walks around the stage like a caged animal, you know, just walking. I like to say a few things before a person does their thing,
Right.
and I'd walk around, I'd sing like a treat me like a fool, treat me, you know, whatever I did, and someone down the and you know, you get the nightclubs, especially the second show, you always go, hey, you guys down there, you know, sitting there. He's so this guy down there says, "Hey," I get into the Elvis. He said, "Hey, get him on stage. Get him up on stage." I said, "Yeah, yeah." He waits in the wings every night I work. He waits in the wings. Sarcastically, I said this, waiting for me to introduce him if somebody calls out his name. And the guy says, "No, he's in the back." And so they switched the light around. Of course, the people in the room knew he was there. I didn't. And sure enough, he's in the back with his guys at the booth, and he stands up and he waves and the light's on him. And I say, "Hey, come on up. I got a few minutes left. Want to have a few laughs?" I hadn't met him before. And so he waves. He says, "No, I gotta." So he went backstage, or no, got out of the way so people would be, you know, flying at his booth, wanting his autograph and pictures and blah. So he disappeared. And that was the one time. Okay. So the second time, let's see, where was it? Oh, I'm walking through a casino, the Hilton Hotel, and he had been working, and he was hanging out a couple of days after we left,
Right.
I guess, because he was at the crab table, and it was on a lower level. You could walk around a banister like, and you could see down into the crab tables, and I'm walking toward the one-armed bandits with the girlfriend, and I hear, "Hey, Joan," and I turn, it's Elvis. And he's got the guys around, he's got the cowboy hat on and the black with the collar up and everything. And I said, "Hey, how's it going?" He goes, "Down the tubes." and that's as far as it went. And we're at, by the way, you know, we're at the slot machines, and 5 or 10 minutes later, there's a little guy that he made them laugh somehow. I don't know where Elvis met him, but he had these people around that made him laugh. And this guy came over and said, "Hey, the guys want to, I make him laugh, and the guys would like to know." I said, "No, it's nice he laughs, but Pasadena." And anyway, that was the second time. Okay, the third time, I'm working with Bobby Gentry at the Frontier again,
Okay.
and every night I let the drummer use my dressing room, because you know, musicians, they didn't have a dressing room.
Right. Right. Right.
If they did, it was the dancers' dressing room, and there are 82 sinks, and you know, no fold out chairs, and so I let him use my dressing room.
Right.
And had a television, and I'd come back from my drives out in the desert. Between shows, I'd go out in the desert, get some air, roll the windows down. People were allowed to smoke at the time in the rooms. And I'd roll the windows down and get some fresh air, and I'd come back, and my friend Eddie Ponder would say, the drummer would say, "Elvis stopped by." Yeah. And so one night I'm sitting around with him, and the phone rings, and it's Bobby Gentry, and she says, "Come on up, somebody wants to see you." Not unlike Mel Torre. and so I go up there, and who answers the door but Elvis with the cowboy hat on. He apologized for having a bad hair day. And we sat down across from each other, I on the couch and he in the chair across the way. We spoke for each other, and he said, "Excuse me a minute." And he goes in to talk to Bobby, who was getting out of her makeup and stuff. And he comes, and I feel his hands on my shoulders, and he reaches down. He says, "Hey, you want to come over to my suite at the Hilton and have some laughs between shows?" and a couple of your friends if they want to come. So I invited Harry and Eddie Pondu, who would answer my door every night in the dressing room. And we went over there, and Elvis, it was just a nice night. He put his arm around me and he walked me toward this record player, and he played, I guess, a half a dozen or more times this thing that he had just done. And he also explained to me, as walking over with me, that he had now had 51% of himself, where he had 49% prior to all this time with the Colonel, and Colonel Parker. And he was very happy about that, because now he can make his own decisions and what he wanted to do and this, that, and the other thing. And we sat cross-legged at this thing with the rest of the room. There's a huge studio, rooms all over the place.
Right.
And just he and I sat there for the longest time listening to it over and over again. And he couldn't work the machine too well, so he called Red West over to change put the record back on, so he could. And we kneel down again, or sit down again, cross-legged, listen again, and then at the end of the night, I got up and he went in to have. He said, he had his doctor with him. His doctor, summertime, the doctor had a white suit, white vest, white pants, white shoes in his case. And he said, and a young guy with a beautiful girlfriend. And he said, hey, John, I'm going into the bedroom. Doctor's going to give me a vitamin B shot between my toes. You want to go see? You want to go watch? And I said, no, thanks. I got up and I walked around and visited with other people in other rooms and stuff. And finally, I went back to him, and he was sitting in the chair quietly by himself in the corner.
Right.
And I went over to him, and he stood up, and I shook his hand, and I said, thanks for a nice evening, and you're a living legend. And he said, gee, I never thought of it that way. And that was the end.
Yeah, I think, John, that's what happens. The person that is the legend don't realize they are. I mean, when I call you iconic comedy legend, I really think you are. And you're like, I guess. I mean,
well, there's a lot of us out there.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is,
I know what you're saying.
So many ways.
I know what you're saying. And I appreciate it. In my heart and soul, I appreciate it. But, what do you say? Yeah, you're right.
No, it's hard to be humble.
But I never thought of it that way. I'll put it that way.
Mac Davis says it's hard to be humble. It really is hard to be. But I got a couple questions for you. He says, is there any footage from from your shows at the Frontier hotels for the fans? This would be a treat.
Oh, not that I know. No.
Okay. And there's another question. He said, what are your plans for the future? I don't know what that means.
Well, the plans are to get offers, to be able to pick and choose, as I've been doing.
Okay.
And to just to be happy and healthy as I can be, and my kids to be happy. And I've done a lot, and I have a nice pension.
You, John.
And I love to make people laugh. So if I get the opportunity to do a little acting with nice people, except for the First Family,
Understood.
I'd be happy to do that, and to talk to people like you. You're doing, remind me of things.
And you're doing movies. I mean, you do whatever. If anybody asks you, say, would you like to do a movie, a comedy movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great to do that.
Yeah.
We got about 6 minutes left. So I basically want to ask you, if you could, and it's okay if you don't want to, but if you could just say who you are, you're John Byner, and you could say, you could do the ant, the aardvark, whatever you want to do, make your voices, and just say you're listening to Hamilton Radio. That's all. And then I'll use it as a sweeper, and I'll play it every now and then for you.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, you can do it.
My name is John Byner, and I sound like Dean Martin sometimes. And sometimes I talk like Jerry Lewis, but it all depends on the situation. And I also do Robert Stack. And don't forget to tune in next week for Unsolved Mysteries. And if you remember Ed Sullivan, you'll be happy to know that he's going to be on my show next week. And let's see. Now, then the Duke says, if you're going to play like that, you're going to have to back it up. And let's see Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby is a big fan of mine. I've worked with him many times, and it's all in the book. Everything's in the book. It's about a book. And let's see. What's left? Okay. I've uh, I've not run out of voices. I've run out of people I think of.
Lucky me.
Um, all right, 99. Maxwell Smart. No, that's what they could have used for this COVID-19 as the cone of silence. Everybody has their lunch in a cone of silence. Let's see, what else? Oh, right, you want to hear about Jimmy Durante? I go back.
No.
Yes, and George Jessel. For those of you who are still remembering him, anyway. The beer, that's all, folks.
Wow.
Doobie doo. You know, what the hell can I tell you? You know, it's not for me to say that you love me. Yeah. For all the girls I've loved before, who wander in and out the door, I'd really like to know, tell about all the girls I've loved before. Okay, so there you are. That's all I can tell you.
That's okay. Just say you're
Dancing with the moon, you know, one Monroe.
Just say you're listening to Hamilton Radio. That's good. And I'll edit all this.
Yeah. Okay. You got any like any requests?
How about Fasadini? Fasadini used to talk like this. You do mentions and crunchings and all those things.
It's in the Disney movie called
the Black Cauldron. Mentions and crunchings.
Yeah.
How do you do them voices, John? How do you do them voices? How do you go from like, versatility that you have with the voices? It's just
well, you hear them in your mind, you hear like Dean Martin, he's talking to me right now. And Jerry Lewis is right behind him, and Bing Crosby's in the wings, so there they are.
It's just amazing how you could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have Jerry Lewis anymore. We don't have Dean Martin anymore.
No, we don't have lots of them anymore.
Here are the voices.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have them in my head, though.
That's awesome.
They'll always be with me.
Always be with you, yeah. Well, it's nice, John, that you, people love you all around the world. Leon says we would love to see you on a cruise ship, maybe on a few dates in Florida.
Who knows? One never knows. But anyway, in the meantime, it's fun talking to guys like you and ladies like you because, you're happy and you like me and there's no sarcasm, none of that stuff that happens.
No. It's never needed,
People say, you do a pretty good voice, but I know a guy that looks like him, but I never had time to do that stuff in the mirror,
Sometimes all you got to do is sound like the person.
That's all. You get the idea. You get the gist.
Right.
Sure.
What a pleasure, John.
My pleasure here, Doc.
So much fun today.
Doc G, and I hope your stroke, never comes back. God bless you.
Thank you.
And you're doing great for a guy that's had a mini.
I never smoked. I never drank. I don't do.
Well, it's about time you did. Just kidding, of course.
And I try to take care of my daughters too. One's 23, one's 26, and
wow, they're kids.
Yeah, they're kids.
My daughter Sandra, I hope she's not watching.
Why not? She's probably proud of her dad.
My first daughter is 60 years old.
God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah, and we hang out. We have a lot of laughs.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So if you can just say, John, you're listening to Hamilton Radio, I'll edit all that other stuff.
5 Minutes, Mr. Byner is the book. And Dr. G, this is John Byner saying thanks so much. And everybody, God bless. Take it easy and be good to your friends.
Beautiful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good day. God bless you.
I certainly will. And you back.
And I will contact you if we need some voiceovers.
Anytime.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.